One has been asking how the Chinese mechanics got into Jamaica. Well, here are the facts. Did you know that in 2015, Jamaica signed over the Kingston Freeport, our main port, our lifeline to China, who has full control for 30 years? Now they control what comes in and they control what goes out. That's why the Chinese mechanics and other companies move the way they want. No one to answer to. No real checks. No oversight. They run the port, they hold the gate. Why do you think it's after the fact Pika stepped in? Because they don't even know what's going on. But somebody know. Because when it comes to these little things, don't think you can think on the same level you were programmed to think on. You have to change your frequency sometimes. And we're standing on the outside of our own house. We can't even act like we never know. Listen, we will never get out of slavery. Because a nation that can't even control its own port is a nation already conquered, just without the chains.
Right, let's dive into a question that has been on a lot of minds, not just here in Jamaica, but across the globe. Is Jamaica truly a sovereign island nation, charting its own course, or is it slowly, perhaps sadly, becoming another piece in Beijing's massive strategic puzzle? This is not about speculation or political jabs. We are going to peel back the layers, look at the facts, and understand the intricate dance between Jamaica's development ambitions and China's expanding influence. Let's start with something many of you have probably driven on, perhaps even daily, the Highway 2000 North-South Link. This impressive 67-kilometer stretch of road was brought to life by the China Harbour Engineering Company, or CHEC, a significant player in global infrastructure. The price tag for this modern marvel, a hefty $730 million. That's you see, the travel time between the north and south coast has been dramatically cut, making commutes shorter and access easier. It's a noticeable movement. I mean, improvement. Yes, people can see that. But here's where the conversation gets a bit more complex. The agreement stipulates that the tolls collected on this highway will flow directly to CHEC for an astonishing period of 20 to 50 years. Think about that for a moment. For potentially half a century, the revenue generated from this vital piece of Jamaican infrastructure won't be reinvested in Jamaica. Instead, it will be going offshore. In fact, we know from the Chief Operating Officer of Jamaica's National Roads that the annual revenues from this highway, which hover around 18 million US dollars, aren't even enough to cover the 30 million US dollar debt in servicing costs. So, while Jamaicans are enjoying smoother rides and quicker trips, Jamaica is actually losing money on this venture year after year. We are talking decades before this project even begins to turn a profit for Jamaica. If it ever truly does, yes, we have greener, more efficient roads, and that's a tangible gain. But the financial structure behind it comes at a very, very steep price. It makes you wonder, who are these benefits primarily serving in the long run? Next up, let's look at another significant infrastructure project, the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. This particular segment of 28-kilometer stretch connecting Harbourview to Yalas is a critical part of the island's infrastructure development. A staggering 85% of its funding comes directly from China's Exim Bank. Jamaican officials are understandably enthusiastic about this project, envisioning a new all-look tourist belt that will undoubtedly boost tourism and create jobs, especially along the island's picture square southern coast. On the surface, this sounds like a win-win, doesn't it? Okay, listen. New roads means new opportunities. However, a crucial question arises, one that echoes concerns that is heard in other nations engaged in similar partnerships. Who is actually building these projects? And more importantly, who ultimately benefits from the long-term employment they generate? Critics have voiced serious concerns that a significant number of the skilled positions on these projects, from engineering to specialized construction roles, are being filled by Chinese nationals. This leaves many local Jamaican workers with the lower skill, often lower wage jobs raising questions and concerns about genuine local empowerment and sustainable job creation within the Jamaican workforce. Okay, is this truly capacity building, or is it simply a transfer of labor without transfer of skills and long-term economic benefits to the local population? Now, let's shift our focus to something even more strategically vital: the Kingston Container Terminal. This is not just any port, it is a major shipping hub in the Caribbean, a critical artery for trade and commerce. It underwent substantial upgrade thanks to significant Chinese investments and loans. While the modernization is visible and has certainly enhanced the port's capabilities, the devil, as they say, is in the details of these agreements. Reports indicate that these agreements grant Chinese firms preferential access and, more significantly, a degree of control over the terminal's operations. This isn't merely about efficient logistics. It has caught the attention of international observers, particularly in the United States. In fact, the US think tank CSIS, the Center for Strategic and International Studies, now lists Kingston as the highest strategic risk port in the entire Western Hemisphere. That's a powerful statement, not a casual observation. It means that US experts and analysts believe that the level of control and influence Beijing has gained over this critical port provides them with significant strategic leverage, extending far beyond simple commercial interest. This is not just about moving cargo, it's about geopolitical positioning and potential influence in a vital maritime corridor. Let's also talk about the Alpart bauxite refinery. In 2016, the Chinese company GISCO, or Jiaquin Iron and Steel Group Company Limited, took over the Alpart bauxite refinery. This acquisition came with a grand promise, an investment of $2 billion US to not only upgrade the existing refinery, but also to build a brand new aluminium smelter and an expansive industrial park. On the surface, sounds incredibly promising, doesn't it? A massive injection of capital, the potential for vertically integrated industry, and the promise of manufacturing hub. However, once again, the details are shrouded in a degree of secrecy. Many of the specifics surrounding this ambitious project, particularly how it will truly benefit the local Jamaican economy and its workforce, have been kept largely under the wraps. This lack of transparency leads to pressing questions. Will this investment genuinely translate into high-value jobs for Jamaicans? Will local businesses be integrated into the supply chain? Or will this become another isolated economic enclave predominantly owned, operated, and staffed by foreign entities with limited trickle-down benefits for the broader Jamaican population? That's a question, right? The potential is immense, but so are the unanswered questions. There are so many unanswered questions about local empowerment and true economic integration. Now, listen up. It's important for you guys to acknowledge that there is another side to this coin. Supporters of these partnerships, of course, with China, emphasize the urgent need for development and job creation in Jamaica. They point to tangible successes, such as Jamaica's gross domestic product. Okay, that's the Jamaica's GDP, which has shown consistent growth for 9 consecutive quarters. There is no denying that expanding growth and modernizing ports are crucial for boosting trade, attracting tourists, and even making inroads into poverty reduction. Okay, from this perspective, China's generous loans and terms willingness to invest in large-scale infrastructure projects are seen as vital catalysts for national development that the Jamaican government might not be able to fund through traditional means. Yes, we all know that they won't be able to do it. These ain't just minor upgrades, they are transformative in their construction scope and their potential to reshape Jamaica's economic infrastructure. It's about building a modern nation, and Chinese investment is seen as a fast track to achieve that. However, critics voice equally strong, if not stronger, concerns. Their alarms are primarily centered around opaque loan terms, potentially high interest rates, and the very real specter of debt dependency. Listen up. Many fear what's colloquially known as debt trap diplomacy. This is a scenario where a country like China extends loans to developing nations, fully aware that repayment might be incredibly difficult, if not impossible. Then the strategy, critics argue, is to use the insurmountable debt as leverage to extract concessions, whether they be strategic assets, natural resources, or even political influence. It's a sophisticated form of economic entanglement that can erode a nation's autonomy. Alright? And here is where the narrative gets even more interesting and perhaps for some a bit counterintuitive. Jamaica's national debt to GDP ratio has been seen a remarkable improvement, falling significantly from from approximately 150% to around 78%. And of that total national debt, a relatively small portion, only about 4.5%, is owed to China. The Jamaican Prime Minister himself has publicly stated that this percentage is minuscule, right? On the surface, this might seem to elevate the debt trap concerns if only 4.5% of the debt is Chinese. However, much leverage could they truly have? But here's the crucial nuance. These funds, despite being a smaller percentage of the overall debt, are specifically tied to major strategically vital infrastructure projects, the very roads, ports, and industrial facilities that I've been discussing earlier, right? So even if the direct debt portion is numerically small, the control and the long-term impact derived from these specific investments, of course, are far-reaching. You know that it's not just about the quantity of data, but the quality and the strategic nature of the assets it's tied to. Ownership, control, and future revenue streams are what truly matter. It's vital to understand that Jamaica's experience isn't an isolated incident. This is a recurring theme within China's ambitious Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI. This is a $1 trillion global infrastructure development strategy, a monumental undertaking involving over 140 countries worldwide. It's not simply an economic endeavor. At its core, the BRI is a geopolitical strategy meticulously designed to redefine global influence and reshape the traditional power dynamics that Western countries have held for centuries. It's about building new trade routes, new spheres of influence, and ultimately a new global order. You see, Jamaica, in many ways, finds itself at a key juncture within the larger global chess game. So, guys, I've talked about that. So, as a Jamaican who lives in Jamaica in 2025, where does all of this, where does all of this leaves Jamaica at? Do you think that Jamaica, which keeps on having these trade ties, receiving all these benefits, getting all these loans from China, do you think that Jamaica is compromising its own sovereignty? Do you think that Jamaica is putting its own, itself in a debt trap? Tell me in the comments, because of course your comments on this are very vital and are highly welcomed here. And most importantly, like this video, share this video, and make sure that you turn on post notifications that every day I post new videos, you'll be the first person to get notified about it. Guys, don't forget to subscribe, guys. This is the Diaspora Review. I'll be your host for this time. Peace out.